This morning we're here with Gary Remple, new inductee to the Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame. It's August 29th, 2013, and Gary and Calgary Stampede Ranch, along with their great buck and horse graded coconut and Buzz Peth, were all inducted into the Ellensburg Rodeo Hall of Fame last night. For the record, Gary, state your full name, place of birth, and date of birth for us.
My full name is Gary John Remple. I was born in Ellensburg, Saskatchewan, September 5th, 1951.
Tell us a little bit about your family. Gary, are they longtime residents of that area? Or?
Yeah, we were born and raised right there in Kyle, Saskatchewan. My dad worked on a large community pasture. He run that. He started as a hired man, was foreman, manager. He was there for 42 years, all total. You know, it was a large community pasture. We ran like 6,500 head of adult cattle there and a couple hundred head of horses. Wow. So that's where we were born and raised.
Oh, gosh.
Most of the family are still there. I'm the only one that moved away. So.
Okay.
But Dad's retired now, living in town.
Okay. What you say community pasture, is that just public grazing land?
Yeah, it's government owned.
Okay.
There's 100,000 acres there, and they would take in cattle, you know, like patrons cattle.
Okay.
So there was like 200 and some different patrons in that pasture. So.
Oh,
yeah.
Huh. What? How far is that from Calgary?
Oh, about 400 miles
okay.
East.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Grew up and went to school there in Saskatchewan. You said you're the only one that left the ranch. Where did you go after you?
Well, there was what we called a farming pool. There was a co-op farm. It was set up. The government set it up for veterans. There were 17 veterans out of the war, and they set them up on this land, and they ended up buying the land and stuff. But over the years, these guys started retiring, okay. And then their sons started taking over, okay. And they needed more guys to participate in it or be members. And they asked me if I'd come over there and help look after the cattle deal. Okay. Run about 400 head of cows and stuff and feedlot stuff. So I left the ranch and went there for 20 years.
Okay.
And then finally sold my share out of that. And moved to Montana.
Okay. So as a young man, you worked for this farming?
I worked all through growing up at the ranch.
Okay.
And I worked there till I moved away in 76, I guess it was. I went to that farming pool in 76 and was there for 20 years. Okay. And then sold my share of that and moved to the States.
Lifelong ranching background, it sounds like. When did the rodeo start? Was that something you did as a youngster? Or?
It was in our family all along. My dad used to rope calves and pick up. Okay. And so we went to rodeos all our lives. And then the picking up, I roped calves when I was young, okay. You know, for a while, and the picking up always intrigued me more.
Okay.
We had a lot of I always had 5 or 6 hired men at the ranch, and some of them were competitive bronc riders.
Okay.
So we'd always have an arena there and a couple shoots, you know. And,
sure.
My brothers, they were into riding cows and bulls and things like this, and I was roping calves. And every time Dad would leave the place, we'd run a horse or two in that we'd buck, and that's why I started picking up for the guys at the ranch.
Okay.
So just goofing around.
You were a teenager probably then?
Yeah.
Yeah. When did it picking up start becoming a livelihood for you?
Well, I wanted to. It was back. I don't know. It was a long time ago, the 70s, early 70s, I suppose. And I kept wanting to try picking up. Our local contractor at that point in time was Jerry Myers. Had the Bar T rodeo outfit. Put on most of the rodeos around us. That's who my dad worked for.
Okay.
And I kept saying, you know, my dad would talk to him, I'd talk to him, and say, you know, I wanted to try picking up, and I don't think he took me very serious.
Was it your age, do you suppose?
No, I was just I don't think he had pickup men, you know.
Yeah,
And
okay.
but it finally come about. He was doubled up at a rodeo, I guess it was, and needed a guy. So I was actually, it was just a little one-day rodeo, and I was going there to rope calves anyways.
Okay.
And he asked me to pick up, so that was my very first rodeo. And from there, when like he was doubled up again, and I went, and be darned, it's bad for the other guy, but I got that rodeo in, and they canned one of their guys and hired me. So, and I was with them ever since.
The rest is history.
Yes, exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about your affiliation with the Calgary Stampede. How did that come about?
Well, it started like on my first year with Calgary, Winston. There was a guy at home there that used to pick up for Winston at the Stampede all the time. His name was Gerald Shockey, and he picked up with Wayne Wold. And Gerald had ended up getting sick. He had a brain aneurysm, and so Winston, he wasn't going to be able to pick up Stampede that year. And so Winston got 5 guys to come in over the 10 days to work with Wayne Wold. Okay. And he give us each 5 guys 2 days each. Okay. So I took my turn, went in there, and out of that deal, Winston ended up giving, like Gerald unfortunately passed away. So out of that first year there, Winston give me 6 days, and he give another fellow 4 days. Yeah. So that's how I got started. I did that 6 days for several years, and finally Wayne Wold decided to retire. So Winston moved me up to 10 days, left the other guy at 4, and then brought in 2 or 3 other guys, you know, here and there. And he actually brought in my brother Wade at that time. So that's the way it went for years. And then as things went on, the other fellow that had the 4 days, he retired, moved my brother up. Now it's just Wade and I do the 10 days together, and it's been that way for quite some time.
I bet that's a treat.
That's an awesome deal, yeah. Yeah, we've picked up together ever since we were kids, or when we first started. Okay. And we actually, I don't know how many, this was Wade's 25th year in Calgary this year. I think it was my 29th. Yeah, I think 29 this year.
As a pickup man, you're not there yet, obviously, but age, how does that impact you? I mean,
well,
are you thinking?
No, I don't know. I don't think about it much. I mean, as long as you can stay healthy and not having to work hurt. Okay. I know it's not as easy on, like it's a little harder on your body, you know, the last few years. Sure. I've always thought of, you know, got fairly good shape, you know, I stay in good shape and stuff like that. But it's not as easy as it used to be.
Probably not.
And here a couple of years ago, said something to my wife about, you know, I kind of hurt a little bit, you know, and it wasn't, you know, and all she said was, well, start working out and get yourself in shape then. I said, okay then.
Coach?
yeah, sure.
Well, yeah, you know, the focus is on the bronc ride or bareback ride, and those guys are taking such a beating, but I don't know if the average rodeo fan realizes how physical the pickup game is. I mean,
yeah, it can get a little physical, and I mean, you got bucking horses that are, you know, running into you, and guys, I mean, most of them don't mean to do it, but you know, sometimes they get off on you a little high, you know, and get you by the neck and jerk you around a little bit, but they don't mean to do it. As a rule, everything goes pretty smooth. Okay.
What do you work for anybody other than Calgary these days? Or?
Yeah, I work for several, but if I'm not busy with Calgary, I work in through the spring a lot for Wayne Wold's outfit up in Canada. Okay. And several different other, like Bruce Sundstrom in Canada, Kessler's. When I come down here, I'm basically busy with Calgary, but I work for Ike Sankey too. Okay. And Brookman's over in Montana, Brookman's. I just keep filling my weekends up. If I'm not with Calgary, I'm with someone else.
Got it. Are you gone most of the year, probably?
Yeah. I leave in the middle part of May. I'm in Canada till the first week of August. Okay. And then we come down here for the fall, and then depending on finals, you know, if a guy's lucky enough to get the Canadian finals and the NFR, that keeps you pretty busy through, you know, the early part of the fall and winter. And then Denver starts middle of January, it goes straight from Denver to San Antonio to Houston, and then that'll put me back home towards the, you know, the later part of March, and I'm usually home till May.
Now, do you and Jody have children? Or?
No,
Okay.
no, I've got two children from a previous marriage, but we don't have any.
What did you know about the Ellensburg Rodeo before you started coming here to pick up?
Absolutely nothing.
You know.
No, I was fresh out of Canada, hardly ever been across the line before.
Okay.
And so when Calgary's, they come down here one year. I wasn't able to go. Winston had asked me to come down, and I was at that farming pool at that time, and we were busy, and I just hadn't made arrangements, you know. So the next year I come with them, and been coming ever since. But after one thing, like I said, being in Canada, I mean, we got great fans and everything, but they're a little more complacent, you know. They don't hoot and holler like you guys do down here. And that's one of the things that I noticed at Ellensburg especially, you know, the fan participation, and they're hooting and hollering and carrying on, you know. And I mean, they holler for a 65-point ride, you know, just as much as they do a 90. So
yeah, we've got a mixed crowd here at Ellensburg. You have locals that are rodeo savvy and understand the game, but we have an awful lot of fans that come from the Puget Sound.
Yeah.
And it is Wild
Yeah,
West and woo-ha, you know?
they have a good time, yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
What are some memories of Ellensburg that you'd like to share with us, or
Well,
things that you appreciate about the rodeo?
it's always such a good rodeo. You put 3 or 4 contractors together, so you know you've always got good bucking horses. I guess years ago when you used to have that Wrangler bullfight deal, that was always interesting.
Yeah,
Roping them and getting them out.
sure.
A couple of times they jumped out that little short gate you had over there across the track.
Yeah,
They'd
yeah.
jump that every once in a while, and they'd get out on the track. That was always exciting.
Sure.
Get around in behind there and get them roped.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I guess it's just always been a fun rodeo. It's been one of my favorites, and got escorted out of the beer gardens one night. That was interesting.
Sometimes the EPD is here to protect and serve.
Well,
We're not
yeah.
sure who we're there protecting or serving.
We had a misunderstanding on the fun factor there, I guess.
That's it. Yeah, it gets rolling a little high.
Yeah.
What you mentioned that Ellensburg's unique in that they bring stock in from a number of different stock contractors. From the stock contractor perspective, is that something that you'd like, or would you rather have all your herd here?
I mean, we've got 2 loads that we buck here, you know, 48 horses, but we're not deep enough, like, to put a rodeo like this on. The biggest reason why they start, you know, bringing them like 3 or 4 different contractors is to make it a more even deal.
Okay.
And if you start watering it down too much, then it gets to be a drawing contest.
Sure.
So if you have them, you know, like 3 or 4 guys here with their top end, makes it a lot more fair.
When Rick Cole introduced you last night, that was something that he commented on, was everybody having a chance when they entered.
Yeah, bigger chance, yeah, better, yeah. We do put rodeos on like Calgary does up in, you know, Canada, just with their own stock. But you know, you can do that. They're not as big a rodeos, put it that way. So the entries in the
What do you do
calendar.
at the Stampede? Do you?
Oh, there's everybody in Canada brings horses,
Got it. Okay.
along with Flying Five, Growney, and Mike Corey brings
Okay,
stock up
sure.
from the States too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, any closing words for us, Gary?
Well, I just, you know, it's like it's such an honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I mean, I would have never thought it would happen. I mean, it's just cool that people, you know, think enough of you to do something like that.
Sure.
And to some of the people that, you know, have been inducted before that, you know, like Dean Oliver, I said last night, was my idol
Sure.
when I was growing up, and Jim Shoulders and everybody, you know, it's just unbelievable, really.
Well, I can tell you, as part of the induction committee, when your name was considered, there was no question. You fit the.
That's
fit
good
the
to
bill.
know.
So,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you very
Glad
much.
to have you here.
Thank you.